All right, and I would like to talk about some of the more special options that you can do with each type of question. So when you click on a question, you're going to get multiple three-dot menus. So when it comes to pictures and videos, you can align them differently. You also, with videos, can get captions. So if you want to caption this video, Joker. But when you go to a question, depending on the type of question, you've got an answer key and you've got this three-dot menu. Let's go to the answer key. Like I said, when you get the answer key, you can tick up the points. So let's make that 2 points. You can pick out what the question answer is. You can provide that answer feedback we talked about. But you can do other stuff. Depending on what you've chosen, you can add more description. You can go to a section based on that answer. So as we talked about before, you could build sections and each question could take them to a different section. So if you wanted to scale up or differentiate a test, you could have a question lead to a different question. Let's say if you get the question right, you go to a second question that's more difficult or takes you down a different path on a different skill. But if you miss the question, it actually takes you to a kind of remedial question that tries to help build you back up. You could do that right there. But the other thing I want to go to is once you're in, let's say down here, I'm going to add a paragraph answer. You can get response validation. Response validation means you can pick some things that tell the student whether they did something right, wrong, or indifferent. So for example, if you want there to be response validation that the length is minimum 200 characters, what'll happen is, I'm gonna make this a required question. So let's say that the question's how are you today? If I'm a student and I go down there and I write good, it's going to trigger and say must be 200 characters. So that's good response validation within that question. If you change to, let's say, short answer, your response validation options change. So for example, if you're looking for a number or a certain text or length, expressions gets a little prickly. We could talk about that if you need that. Request that and I'll make you a training for that. But let's say it's a number and you want that number to be less than or equal to 10. Then if they were to put anything that is greater than 10, then it would trigger the response. So for example, it's going to say must be less than or equal to 10. So that's a helpful way to help your students kind of get in the ballpark of answers or kind of drive them down a certain path. You can use response validation. So you'll also notice that certain questions like drop-down boxes, those don't give you that. Multiple choice, no response validation. But one thing that's kind of cool is if you're multiple choice and let's say you're not going to shuffle the question order, but you kind of want to create some level of shuffle, you can create a shuffle the option order, meaning this question will show up right where it is, but these options will shuffle back and forth, but retain your answer key. So hopefully that was helpful. We're trying to look at the three-dot menus and sort of special response validation built in with any of these particular questions. And I hope that was helpful. And if you have questions, please let